welcome to the 9th edition of Jimmy G's Church of Music. We have very special guests tonight. We have Susan Varro, the Rainbow Warrior, and we have the Flanagan Project, who's going to play some music for us. Before we get started, I'd just like to tell you some of the upcoming shows. On April 30th, we're going to have Rob von Bernowitz, and he will be speaking on his online music magazine. He's interviewed some quite interesting people over the years, and we'll be discussing that. And then he'll be giving a little acoustic Deep Purple with his singer Dan from his Deep Purple band. On May 7th, we have, I can't see, I gotta take my glasses off to see. On May 7th, we're gonna have Big Earn back with the Project 9 line bands. Big Earn was on a couple of weeks ago and spoke of the 9 line band, which is all veterans, and Big Earn works with them on trying to introduce them into society, and the 9 line band will be with them this time. May 14th, we're going to have community activist Michelle Terrell, who will be sharing with us some work that she does in the community. We'll discuss some needs in the community that possibly you could get involved with if you're looking for something to do worthwhile with your life. May 21st, we're going to have singer-songwriter Tommy Ryan, and he'll be here with Maggie Ryan to discuss some of the things he's done in his music career and his plans for the future. May 28th, we will have
recap.
Well, we were going to have a recap, but we're not going to have a recap. May 28th, we're going to be doing a little expose on my band, my Meatloaf tribute band, All Revved Up, and it should be interesting, and hopefully you get an idea of the work involved in putting together a tribute band and what we have to offer. Before we get started with our interviews, maybe a good time we'll start out with the Flanagan Project, and they're going to play one of their original tunes for you now. Whenever you're ready, Greg, Tom.
Ready?
Get it.
In a city not far away, a man paces the floor, and he wishes he could turn back time as he closes the door. In the dark of night, he lays in his bed and he checks his phone just one more time, and he lays down his head. 'Cause wherever he is, I know he must be alone, trying hard not to hear your name or pick up the phone. Late at night, he thinks of your face and how the moon lit your hair. Thinks of you there and regrets what he did, wherever he is. Last night Thought, what would I do if I lost the love of my life and she was someone like you? I just know I'd never let go, darling. But all I could say, there'll be another page in your life. There'll be a brighter day. 'Cause wherever he is, I know he must be alone, trying hard not to hear your name or pick up the phone. And late at night, thinks of your face and how the moon lit your hair. Thinks of you there and regrets what he did, wherever he is, and regrets what he did, wherever he is.
Thank you, Greg, Tom.
That sounded amazing.
Welcome, Sue.
Thank you for having me. I'm honored.
Susan is known as the Rainbow Warrior, and when did you become the Rainbow Warrior?
Ah, that's a good question. I think the Rainbow Warrior originated in, 2019? Probably around, it's got to be 10 years now, so do the math. It's an idea that actually came to me in a dream. I was always involved in LGBT advocacy in one facet or another. I had started out working on a suicide hotline. Well, actually, it was just an LGBT hotline called the Gay and Lesbian Switchboard. Are you familiar with that?
Mm-hmm.
It was the longest non-for-profit running organization on Long Island, 25 years in the making. So I started out there with my friends Kristen and Bill and Paul Paquette, and they kind of took me underneath their wing. They were a family. They were an established organization for quite some time. And with the internet and with the changing times, it was a service that was no longer needed. People weren't calling in on the physical phone. It was really more people going on the internet for services. So I was there for a short stint, and then after that, I got involved with the Bill Borman Scholarship Fund, which was a very well-known gay Democrat. He was a lawyer. He passed away of AIDS, but they had created a scholarship in his name for LGBT youth, so I was involved with the scholarship fund for some time. And then I just decided that I really wanted to do more. I really wanted to be hands-on. I wanted to be working with the LGBT youth and being a spiritual person, somebody on a spiritual path. I just went to bed one night and woke up and thought of the Rainbow Warrior, which is basically rainbow, which includes the LGBT community, and warrior being the embodiment of a spiritual warrior. So the Rainbow Warrior just came, and I woke up and I just wrote it down on a piece of paper, and that was it. So I created this persona, if you will, on Facebook, on my Facebook page. Probably close to 4,000 people following, and do my advocacy work there.
What do you see as the biggest misconceptions regarding the LGBTQ community?
I think John Lennon probably said it the best when he said, "Don't hate what you don't understand." Most people are kind of misguided, if you will, about LGBT folks. We're just like anybody else. I mean, we really want the same things as anybody would in any relationship, to be loved, to be accepted. So I think it's really, I don't know, it's fear-based. What they don't know, they don't understand. So I think that's probably most of the misconception. Always growing up as a bisexual person, I always thought that everybody was this way. So I kind of felt like meeting people who didn't understand that it's not about your sexuality, it's about who you are as a person. It's kind of still missed me to this day, and I think most of it is fear-based. Not knowing and really understanding that it's possible to love somebody of the same sex. It's possible to be transgender. It's possible to be a lesbian or a gay man and still be a good human being. It has nothing to do with who you are as a person. It's just your sexuality.
I think that's a big revelation that came to me about when you see people reacting to the gay community, they think it's all about sex. It's all about having sex. It's who are you going to have sex with? And it's about relationships. It's about love. It's about
a lot
business,
of things.
taking care of your family, take care of your home, and I think that's the biggest thing that I see when there's pushback against the community.
It's once again, I don't like to bring religion into it, but I think that a lot of our misconceived notions are derived from religious backgrounds and fear-based theories from religion. God created man and woman, that sort of thing. So when we start to go back into what we deem to be the norm, our society, that's what we're taught. It's a man and a woman. Your child is a boy or a girl. Everything is black and white. And unfortunately, I know this to be true, nothing is black and white. There's a big spectrum in between. So
I think that I had mentioned this to you earlier. I had looked up, I was looking up, just researching a few facts that we might talk about. And I saw this article about China's growing acceptance for the LGBT community. And they researched a bit, like, why is China more accepting than a lot of other countries? And it turns out that China has no dominant religion that fuels the homophobia.
There you go.
Researchers actually believe that homophobia in China is imported from Europe. Like that people learn that,
No doubt. I definitely believe that to be true, 100%.
Do you see things changing today? Do you acknowledge a change that's going on?
Oh, yeah, we've come a long way. I mean, just like everything as far as racially motivated prejudices, gender-related prejudices, women-related prejudices, we've come a long way, baby. I think as far as LGBT, we have come a long way, but we still have a long way to go. I feel like right now we're kind of hitting a wall with all kinds of bans and pushing back on rights for LGBT folks, but I think that we're not going to accept that. And I think we discussed that before. There's a lot of pushback. I'm confident in that we're just going to continue to plow through, no doubt.
Some quickie here. I didn't know this either. I didn't know the answer to this question, and I've had experience with the LGBT community too as an activist. I lobbied for gay marriage, and I lobbied in Albany.
That's great.
And I was known as a straight ally, and there was actually a letters that used to be involved with that to show you're a straight ally.
What was the
And
letter?
I
Really? They had another letter, huh?
There was a letter that showed you were a straight ally, and some within the gay community, within the LGBTQ community, they wanted to remove that because there was people profiting off that.
Oh,
off that
boy, yeah,
designation.
it's always an
Yeah.
angle, right?
Yeah,
Everybody has
they
an
have
angle.
But what does the Q stand for?
Questioning. Q is questioning. I mean, I think the Q is really prevalent in these days because the background in what I do, just to touch upon that, which I really want to promote while I'm here, is with my spiritual background, and I've been doing meditation and I've been doing yoga, practicing yoga for over 25 years. So mindfulness is one of these topics, if you will, that's kind of come around. It's been around since the 70s, but mindfulness is huge now in all of the workplaces and within schools as well. So I started to take this mindfulness slash yoga slash meditation type of workshop into these GSAs, which are gay straight alliances in the schools, and I'm just getting phenomenal results. I mean, with a compromised community like the LGBT, the kids just really don't have a place to turn. Mm-hmm. Right now, the current administration is, pushing back, and they don't feel valid. So basically what I do is I just go in, and the mindfulness and meditation and yoga is about self-awareness. It's about self-acceptance more than anything. I feel like there'll always be people that don't accept you, but I think the most important thing, especially for these LGBT kids and Q kids, is the self-acceptance part. And then once they're able to accept themselves and really embrace who they are and be aware of who they are, then nothing else matters. So we go in and we do these workshops. I sit with them. I teach them about meditation. I teach them about what it is to be aware of their breath, using their breath to maintain and manage their stress. And it's just been beautiful. I mean, they inspire me so much more. I mean, I go in there obviously trying to inspire them, but I wind up leaving being so much more inspired. So I've been doing these workshops, and I feel like, I just can't do enough of it.
How do you recruit for your workshops?
My workshops, I've been in the community now over 10 years, so I've made quite a few connections. So in the high schools, most high schools throughout Long Island, there are GSAs, which are gay straight alliances. Most of the high schools have them, so I've connected with quite a few of the GSA advisors. So I've been doing workshops with them, and they've been asking me to repeat and come back, pretty much every semester. And I'm looking to recruit more GSAs, so if you're out there and you work in a high school, or you know somebody that works in a high school, or even actually in employment, I mean, I'd be open to going into any type of, business or employment to do mindfulness and meditation. And so many people these days need to manage stress, be self-aware, and elevate your consciousness. What that means is we're not responsible, or we can't actually control what's going on around us. The only thing that we can really control is our own consciousness and our own way that we handle ourselves in society. So I think that the more elevated the consciousness gets, the better off we'll be as a society. So
Is the GSA a designation, or is it just a state of mind?
GSA stands for Gay Straight Alliance, so it's a club that exists within the school. So it's kids that are in the school that are either gay, straight, questioning, across the spectrum, LGBT, and they join in and they have a club and they meet after school, and it's funded by the school, and everybody is welcome, and they have events and they go to different functions, and I come in and I do workshops with them. So yeah, they're pretty much exist in a lot of the high schools. There's some high schools that don't have GSAs, but even junior high schools I'm looking to get into, because I feel like the earlier you can get a group of kids together and work on them with their meditation and their mindfulness, they can just use those tools as they're going through and their troubling teen years and entering high school. So even junior high schools is key. I want to get into junior high schools now.
Is there a reason that some do not have GSAs? Some schools?
It's
Are they
political.
resistant?
Yeah, there's several schools that actually are resistant to it because they feel like it's a troublesome issue still to this day. And the kids, let me tell you, the kids champion. They fight for it. There's been several high schools that the kids have petitioned, and they've won. And it's great, because when you're going into these high schools these days, you can't deny the fact that there's kids of all walks of life. There's different ethnicities, there's different religions, and there's different sexualities. And for us as a society to deny that, it's not
Due to the imbalance of the percentages of the kids that are LGBTQ and the heterosexual kids, do you have more participation from the heterosexual kids than the...
A lot of the GSAs that I go into, it's a lot of moral support from the deemed heterosexual kids. I mean, at that point, I think in the high school too, they're still, like you asked about the Q, a lot of them are still questioning, and I think it's a beautiful thing. I don't think that deciding your sexuality in the new millennial age is as apparent as it was when we were back in school, like you're gay, you're straight, that. Now it's gender fluid, it's pansexual, it's bisexual, it's more fluid, where it's not so much black and white. You're not just gay and straight. There's a whole myriad of sexuality that's becoming apparent, that's always been. And it's not one of these things that's just been discovered. It's always been. It's just becoming more, this awareness of it is becoming more apparent and hopefully acceptable.
Have you had any pushback issues from parents that don't accept the...
With my page, it's a little sad because I have actual students that reach out a lot of times because their parents aren't accepting. And that's the reason why they find shelter in these GSAs in the high school, because everybody wants to be loved and accepted, and they're just in this little small group where everybody can kind of relate to each other and they feel valid and their voices are being heard. My biggest pulpit, if you will, and what I stand on constantly is visibility. And why is it so important to be visible? It's important to be visible because when you stand before LGBT youth and you pronounce to them that you're a bisexual woman, and they look at you with these eyes and they realize that somebody like me, 51 years old, is claiming my sexuality, and they see me as being valid, then they don't go home and sit in their room questioning whether that they exist or whether they matter or whether they'll make it through life without, being judged. So I feel like the visibility is so important for people across the board, adults, as soon as you can and are able to. And my thing is that if people are in the closet, I don't judge that. I think that there's a time and place for everybody to come out. But when you can, to be able to be vocal with your voice, it's the greatest tool for kids to be inspired and champion behind. They need as much support as they can.
What do you say to people that claim that the community is pushing their ideas on other children?
Yeah, that's a tough one because I feel like, once again, in order for us to understand each other, we have to hear each other, So because it's not your cup of tea does not make it not valid. And a lot of times, people want to just put their earmuffs up when they hear of something that's not, something that they would be interested in. But once again, silencing these voices is extremely dangerous. Telling an LGBTQ young person that you're shoving your sexuality in my face, it's okay for a couple, a heterosexual couple, to display signs of affection, but then when you say that a homosexual couple or a lesbian couple can't, then they're not valid. So you're right then marking and deeming them as not valid. So that's why this conversation needs to be had, and the visibility is so important so that they feel valid. And everybody becomes comfortable with it, because when things are hidden and they're pushed underneath the carpet, they become so much more feared, because what you don't see is scary, right? So we want to take things out and we want to bring them to the light. We want people to see, because then you realize that love is love,
How would parents or students that wanted to bring GSAs into their school go about it? Who do they contact?
Administration. Yeah, you have to just go to your administrators and then present your program or present your reasons. And, you know, if you have enough kids that are wanting to be involved, it's not one of these things that these kids are just going to go away quietly. You're just going to need to go to your administrator and present it. And, you know, I think that Long Island is progressive in this area.
Mhm.
I see it. I'm in high schools as my regular job. I work as a photographer and I work in all the high schools, and it's progressive. I see safe space stickers everywhere I walk in the hallways. There are the little rainbow stickers in the windows, and every time I see them, it makes me smile because there's safe spaces. There's places that kids can go. We know about the suicide rate. We know about LGBTQ kids constantly taking their own lives because what happens is they're being bullied and they're being, you know, harassed. And sometimes the biggest thing that the parents and the administration do is just to turn their cheek to it. And at this point in time, they're going to be held liable for that. So it needs to be addressed.
How would people get in touch with you if they wanted to?
The best way is to go to the Rainbow Warrior, which will appear on your screen, hopefully.
Mhm.
It's on Facebook. It's a page. Make sure that you put the Rainbow Warrior in, because if you just put Rainbow Warrior, you'll get the Greenpeace ship. The Greenpeace ship is called Rainbow Warrior. I didn't steal the name. So it's the Rainbow Warrior on Facebook, or you can hit me up on my private page and just direct message me. If you're interested in doing meditation and mindfulness and yoga, not only with LGBT kids, with anybody, I think that you should be starting meditating because you have a hard time sleeping. Yeah. So it's good stuff. It's good stuff.
And
That's the Rainbow Warrior.
where do you do your meditation practice? Do you have a studio? Or
I do.
mobile?
I actually work in Inner Spirit Yoga. It's a studio that my friend Roni Yari owns. It's in East Northport. That's where I cut my spiritual teeth. I've been going to Inner Spirit Yoga for about over 20 years, I think now, or maybe less. I don't know. Time just slips away. I can't keep track of time. I've been going there for a long time. So I teach and I guide meditation on Wednesday nights at 7:30 at Inner Spirit Yoga. But my door at home is always open to anybody who wants to come and do yoga or meditate. My house, my private house, yeah, they could hit me up if they're interested in it. And you know, it's funny because I think there's just a misconception. What do you feel like meditation is? If you had to describe meditation to me, what would you think it is?
I meditated through my years ago getting sober through a program.
Okay, so you know about
And I learned
meditation.
my meditations really,
Okay.
yeah. And,
So when you want to approach meditation, what do you feel like your goal is? Now I'm actually interviewing you. Look at the way
yeah.
that happens.
I think my goal is to clear my mind, to stop the train going on in my head.
Okay, so stop right there. So a lot of times I think the misconception with meditation is what you just said, to stop your thoughts, stop the train that's going through your mind. And I think that's why so many people get discouraged about meditation, because they feel like it should be the absence of thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
Meditation is not the absence of thoughts. Meditation is the acceptance of thoughts. So there's a big difference. If you're going to sit down and you're going to say, I will not think, I'm going to sit here in full lotus and I'm going to stop my thoughts, you will perish.
That's
So
shutting down.
you want to accept your thoughts. So when you meditate, you're in a state where you're acknowledging your breath, and whatever is going to come into your mind, you're going to see it for what it is, which is a thought, and then you're going to accept it. And that comes with training the brain, comes with training the mind. And as soon as you could start training your mind to just see thoughts for what they are, they're just purely thoughts, then you start to meditate and you realize that you're meditating, which is the beauty of it. And then you start to get into a state where you're not reacting to life. Life is happening to you, and whatever it is, good, bad, you're seeing it for what it is. It's just life. You're not labeling it. So
Another way I like to meditate is by listening to music, which we will.
Yeah, I think we're ready for some music, right? Music is meditation,
We'll
right, guys?
listen to Barrow and Flanagan give us some meditation time. Yeah.
Ready?
Whenever you're ready.
2, 3. such a damn shame to waste it. And you and I both know that it's true. I can't tell you what I'm feeling every day, but there's just one thing I can say. I love the way you dance. I love the way that you dance and sing. I love the way you do everything. And even though your words can sting, I hope someday that you wear my ring. I'll be crazy too, and never take a chance. But you just smile and shake your head. I love the way you dance. I love the way you dance. I love the way you dance.
Thank you, Greg. Thank you, Tommy. I'd like to do a few quick announcements before we get back into our interview. April 24th, we have Blues to Back Street, playing at the Cortez Clam Factory in Bradenton, Florida. That's some old friends of ours, June Eisel and Johnny Bop. They're down in Florida now, and they're spreading the music down all around the Keys and different parts of Florida. April 22nd, we have Sound Dogs at the Maples. That's Sherry Anderson, who was on the show a few weeks ago. May 3rd, we have Jetstream at the Salt Shack. I'll be working with them doing the sound support. May 3rd also, we have Get Dancing at Butterfields. My partner Eddie will be doing the sound support for that one, Gold Star Sound. May 11th, Project 9 Line Band will be at VFW 5796 in Northport. May 12th, we have Sweetwater at Salt Shack, which is the old Cedar Beach Hut in Babylon. May 18th, my friend Johnny Rodriguez has a terrific band, Hits, will be at the Dog Pound in Hicksville. I think Eddie will be working with them that night. And May 18th also, Big Daddy Carl Rima will be working with Contractors for Kids at Rudy's in Patchogue. Contractors for Kids is a terrific organization. They raise funds for people that have children with disabilities or going through serious medical procedures, and it's the money goes directly from them to the families. They build ramps for wheelchair ramps. They will do all kinds of great things. They buy medical equipment. And that's May 18th at Rudy's in Patchogue. May 19th, we have Project 9 Line Band again at the Islip Music Festival. They'll be playing outdoors behind Mary Dowling's. May 25th, we have Peasants Harp at the Red River Inn. And August 1st, I have to hawk my band again, All Revved Up, New York. We'll be playing at the in Seaside Heights, New Jersey, on the beach. And that'll be August 1st. That's our next gig. We don't play that many gigs, but we travel quite a bit when we do. Read a few more interesting things here. And,
Oh, you did your homework.
yeah, I did a little bit of homework.
Yeah.
I had to do it fast, though. I had to do it fast.
That's okay.
I didn't take the time to... in 1629, the Virginia court recorded the first instance of gender ambiguity. So this isn't something new.
All right, 69, what'd you say?
1629.
1629, wow.
A servant, Thomas Hall, was officially declared both man and woman
Huh.
and ordered to wear articles of each's clothing. So I suppose they had to wear a halter top and,
A tie and a dress?
Yeah, tie and a dress.
That's cool.
Because they wanted to be able to identify them.
Sure,
which
sure.
I don't think they did that for their good. I think they did that out of the fear that.
Right.
But we know that. And in 1952, the U.S. Congress enacted a law banning gay foreigners from entering the country. And I was surprised. I wasn't so surprised by that, but I was surprised by that law was not repealed until 1990.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, that's a little scary.
We're just
It's a
we're
little
just
scary.
we're just in a new phase here.
Well, we got marriage equality, and we have tons of hate crime, legislation that was brought in, and it's a process. I feel like sometimes you take a step forward and you take a couple of steps back, but I think we're heading in the right direction, definitely. I think everybody I don't think there's too many people that you come across that doesn't know one person that's in the LGBT community, and that's how, remember Dick Cheney? Does everybody remember Dick Cheney?
Yes.
His daughter was gay, and as soon as that became apparent, things changed. So I feel like if you can relate to somebody that you love, be careful who you hate. I always say that.
It could be somebody you
Could
love.
be somebody that you love. Yeah, true. Truth.
What can people in the community that aren't involved do to help?
I think being visible, that's the number one thing. But if you're not able to be visible, just being there to hear, just being there. Sometimes I go in and I don't even need to talk to the kids. I just want to listen to the kids. So if there's somebody in the community that, is really, is just having a hard time, the trans community right now is just, I think, of the LGBTQ community, the trans community can use an ear. Somebody that that's trans, somebody that's going through the process, just sitting and listening to somebody, it does more than you think, because it's just for somebody to be heard, I think is key. People are constantly telling you you're not valid, and there's bans and military bans and all kinds of hate crimes. It pushes people deeper into not only the closet, but it pushes them deeper into self-hatred, and we know where that goes. So I think that just being an ear for somebody, just listening, that's really key. You don't have to have an answer. All you have to do is listen.
What is the value of marches? Me and Susan had done a march together.
We were marching quite a bit, weren't we?
We did the Sable March.
It's funny because whenever there's gay parades, they're just like, well, why don't we have a straight parade?
We do have straight parades all the time.
Yeah, exactly. St. Patrick's Day. Gay parades are it's a fight, it's a struggle. And when I marched in the marriage equality parade, I never experienced, I had goosebumps just walking down the street and just that affirmation of being able to marry the person that you love. Imagine not having that right. Somebody telling you, okay, you love this person, but no, you can't have a relationship with them, you can't have a marriage. So just when that came to fruition and marriage equality, I marched with my husband and I marched with my gay friends and lesbian friends and bisexual and trans friends, and everybody came together, and it was a beautiful experience to realize that love is really the equalizer. That's really all that matters, and it's all you really need. A small band said that once. It really is all you need.
Susan mentioned her husband.
Yeah, he's in there.
That's Greg is her husband. Greg is Susan's husband.
The guitar guy, Greg.
The guitar guy. How long have you been together?
Greg and I have been together 19 years, and we never had a fight.
Never?
Never.
Oh.
Kidding.
And I know the answers to some of these questions because I do know Susan and Greg somewhat. How is Greg supportive of what you do?
Greg is my rock. I think that he has a different approach to. I'm kind of a vocal person. He's more of a private person when it comes to matters of this. But I think that he supports me in everything I do. he is such an amazing inspiration to me as far as just doing things that I fear. I've always had questions about, oh, what if I fail, or what if I fall, what if you fly, and I've always felt like he's been my inspiration as far as doing things, the Rainbow Warrior, and just going full steam into projects, and just being, with my best friend by my side and always supporting me in everything I do. It's not easy being married to me. So he gets a gold star.
And I assume he concerns himself with some situations you might find yourself in as being
Yeah.
an activist?
Yeah, definitely. There's always, I remember one time we were actually, I decided to just go on a quick live feed at a trans event, and there was some opposition and some threats, which there have been threats recently. Facing fear, you can't back down. At this point, we can't cower in fear. We have to let them know that we're here and we're not going away. It's not an option. This is not an option. And it may seem like it is because of what you're being told through the media, but these are real people. We're real people. We live. We have lives. We exist.
As far as I know, there's no threat. Like, people feel threatened, and I don't know what the threat is.
I don't like to sensationalize things, but there just recently was a threat, and it was made public.
No, I mean by a threat by the community, by the LGBT community. People feel threatened by the LGBT community. They feel that the children, there's a threat to
Sure,
them.
right.
There's a threat to
But
them,
recently there
yeah.
was, and I like to put it out there too, because I feel like you could just squash it. Like I said, you always want to bring these things to the light. There's our annual June Pride Month, and it's hosted by the network, and there have been received quite a few threatening, emails and such, saying that if this goes on, there's going to be, hell to pay and blah, 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 blah. So that's being squashed. So.
Hey Greg, we're going to speak a little more in here, but you think you could come up with maybe a cover song to close the night when we're ready?
Certainly.
Yes.
And maybe maybe a Beatles song.
Yeah, I was
would be
gonna
in
say,
line.
yeah, I might know a Beatles song or two.
I listened to 214 Beatles songs yesterday. I didn't get they didn't all play
I
through
think
to the end.
Beatles are good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we may have to we'll throw you a surprise then.
Okay. A surprise song will be fine. And tell me a little bit about your meditation and yoga teaching, and how
That's been like a path that I never thought I would get to at this point in time in my life. I'm 51 years old. I started out doing yoga when I was 21. I was a young mother, and I was going through a pretty messy divorce, and just had heard about yoga, and I was always an athlete. I always played sports and got a scholarship for softball, but I never did yoga, and I was like, what is this yoga stuff? Most people did stretching, and I knew nothing of it. So I went to a woman's house, and I did private lessons with her, and it basically saved my life. If you talk to anybody that does yoga, and if you ask them why they did yoga, it's healing is the answer. Yoga is a practice where you're connecting your body, your mind, and your spirit, and you're essentially healing those wounds. And we all have wounds. There's not one person on this earth that doesn't have a wound. And becoming who you were born to be, your self-awareness, it's connection with your higher self, whatever that may be. It's not religious by any means. It's more spiritual. And meditation really is, I feel like, where I'm concentrating most on. Yoga is the physical practice. Meditation is the spiritual practice. Just quieting the mind, and went away for 10 days and did a 10-day retreat without talking for 10 days, and lived a monastic life, and that was amazing. Just continuing down the path just to learn more and more about myself. It's I would recommend it highly. It's good stuff.
What do you do? A particular type of yoga?
I do.
Yeah.
Yoga, I do hatha, which is just a wide variety of yoga. There's different types. There's vinyasa, there's hatha yoga, basic yoga, but meditation-wise, I practice Vipassana meditation.
What is it?
Vipassana, and Vipassana means inside, and basically it's the type of meditation that Buddha practiced when he was enlightened. You know Buddha?
I do, yes.
Now, who is Buddha to you?
Uh,
See that statue of that fat man, that fat bald man?
yeah.
But you know that's not Buddha. Buddha was a man like you.
Yes.
He was a mortal man. Yeah, so
Who was the teacher?
Buddha was a man, and his name was Siddhartha, and he was a very rich prince, and he lived with all the best of everything, and he lived in a palace, and he was brought daily delicious food and women and wine, and one day he just had this notion that there was more to life than being the richest prince in a golden palace, and he decided that he needed to figure out what life was really about, and he renounced everything, all his possessions, and he sat underneath a tree and he meditated and he was enlightened. So I feel like we all, like Buddha, have that ability to be enlightened. I feel like we are enlightened. We are born enlightened. I think that our path through life has clouded our enlightenment. So we need to polish that, if you will.
I guess that would be the
bring that light back.
Born innocently.
We're born enlightened.
Yeah.
We truly are. We're born enlightened. No doubt in my mind. I see the good in all people, even Donald Trump.
Well, that's another show.
That's another show. But we are all enlightened. We truly are. We have that light within us. We're born with it. It's a matter of just getting connected to it.
How'd you come up with the rainbow picture, the rainbow warrior picture?
Oh, my friend Anthony Malari. I'm going to give him a shout out. He's one of the most amazing photographers. He does wedding photography. He worked with me. He was one of my colleagues. And I had this headdress that was made for me from my friend Roni, who owns Inner Spirit. And I had a picture of me wearing it, but he's quite the digital artist, this guy Anthony, and he photoshopped that picture, that you see.
It's on the screen now.
Yeah, it's a cool picture, right? And I got a little pushback with that. It's funny, in this day and age, you got to be really careful with everything you say and do, because just to go on record, there is no slight against the indigenous people of this country. I mean, I had a...
Oh, it sort of looks like the Indian headdress?
It's Indian. It's not verbatim an Indian
Yeah.
headdress, but I had several people connect with me and say, you need to remove that because I don't know if it's insulting to the Indian community, but by no means. It's more of a spiritual yogi headdress.
And how again would somebody get in touch with you?
If you
they
want
were
to
in
contact
yoga?
me, just go to The Rainbow Warrior on Facebook. It's a page, and either that or just hit me up on my page, Susan Barrow. You could direct message me. You could find me on Instagram, and I'm on Twitter.
How long would it take to get an appointment for...
Just contact me and I'll check my schedule. I'm looking to book now into May. I just did actually, my last meditation and mindfulness workshop was with Southold High School. My good buddy, John Mayer, he's actually in Amsterdam right now with the kids. But we did a nice little presentation out there, and I'm looking to do at least one a month. So yeah, just hit me up.
Do you do group yoga classes?
We could do yoga, we could do meditation, we could hang out and play the guitar and ukulele. We could do whatever you want to do.
Oh, you play the ukulele. I forgot you do. You play the ukulele.
I dabble in ukulele.
We weren't sure if Greg could make it tonight, so I was going to play the guitar and Susan
And I was going to
bring
fake playing the ukulele.
And we were gonna play-
No, that's not happening.
So Susan,
yeah,
Susan
that's
made
it.
sure Greg got here.
Greg's here, and he's going to play now. But I can't thank you enough for having me.
Oh, thank you for being on. I'd like to get you on one night, maybe in the future, just do maybe yoga demonstration.
We could do a
We could
guided
we could
meditation.
bring a few students or something.
Sure, yeah, we can do yoga, we can do a little guided meditation, we could talk about what it is to, pretty much the steps you need to do. Like, so many people these days use apps for meditation, which is great. There's many paths to meditating. You can do a mantra, you can use music, and I say it to the kids when I do my workshops, meditation is any activity that you do that you realize that you're not doing it. So music, for instance,
Yeah.
you play music effortlessly, you become the music. If you paint or you do art or you sing or you take a walk, or you do the dishes, and you're being involved in an activity that's mindless, and you become one with that activity. Meditation. Meditation isn't just sitting in a lotus position, levitating. It comes in many forms.
Before we close out the show, I'd just like to once again, April 30th, we will have Rob von Bernowitz and Dan, and they'll be speaking on Rob's online magazine, and then we're going to have a little acoustic Deep Purple. May 7th, Big Earn, back with Project Nine-Line Band. May 14th, community activist Michelle Terrell. May 21st, Tom and Maggie Ryan. May 21st, we're going to have a little expose on All Revved Up New York, Meatloaf Tribute Band. Don't forget, give to St. Jude's Children's Hospital. I still have books. Anybody makes a donation on my page, we'll send you books. I still haven't sent some of the books out. I'm looking to get that done this week. People that have already donated, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, Susan.
Namaste.
We're going to close off the show with Varro and Flanagan, and I'd like to thank them also for being here. Hope to see you all next week. Thank you for joining.
Peace.
Thank you, Bob. Thank my producer, Bob. At Top Hat Entertainment. Anybody that's interested in doing a show of their own, please contact Bob. Top Hat Entertainment. You can Google it. And he does have some slots open.
Walking down the road of life, people pass you by. Walking down the road of life, songs that make you cry. What happens if you go straight? You have to find another way. So you find another road again, and you find another song. Walking down the road of life, where will I fit in? Walking down the road of life, my shield is wearing thin. What happens if you can't go on? You have to find another song. So you find another road again, and you find another song. One more time. You find another road again, find another song.